I think Matera is good, Ferry is good. I think a lot of players, a lot of like intermediate to like slightly higher level players, have the characters be even better against them than they should be because they just kind of sit there and let themselves get zoned, or they just W key, right? When people tell you play patient against zoners and make your way in, they aren't saying don't do anything ever. Like don't just walk and like walking and blocking is gonna get you fucking killed because the game has universal system mechanics, right? They have universal anti-zoning system mechanics. So you can't just walk and block because think about it this way. If walking and blocking was a guaranteed way to get it on Matera, she would actually be unplayable. Because if you could just walk and block and have that be the way to get it on her, what the fuck happens then if someone rolls? If someone does actually like properly utilize rolling and 6XLs and dashing and jumping and neutral skip moves. If walking and blocking by itself could get you in on the zoner, imagine if you actually played the matchup correctly. She would have literally no options. She would just be a joke character, right? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say why you have a tough time with Matera without telling you that, like, without watching how you play. I will tell you that something I've seen a lot is that a lot of people just, like, not just the good zoners, even against Ficala, even against, I don't think Eustace is that good, but I know that maybe is a bit of a take. I think he's fine. I don't think he's bad, but yeah, even against Ficala, even against Eustace, even against, like, some of the, oh my, Jesus Christ, is this the Galleon from, yeah, why not? Fuck it. I think a lot of people have a problem of being way too, I don't know, like way too passive when they fight zoners in general. It seems like people don't realize that you start the round in the zoner's win condition and you have to do something right now or you're gonna die. The amount of people who just kind of like down back, kind of at zoners in general, I mean, even still, right? Because, I mean, it's not a Grand Blue specific thing, right? The amount of people who like, they're like, I should just down back and wait for my moment against a zoner. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean wait for your moment? Like, you're going, like, at round start, zoners are winning. That is like the inherent archetype. I mean, depends. Some games have much closer round start distances, right? But a lot of games, like at round start, the zoner is in their win condition, right? So the idea of like I'm just gonna wait, I'm gonna sit here and wait for my moment feels a little silly to me, right? Because it's their moment. Like the game starts, it's their moment. You have to do something. You have to take some sort of active read or risk or something like that to earn your way back into the video game, right? This is not a Grand Blue specific thing. You have to take risks on Matera, you never win. I mean, yeah. And so the point now where we can start talking about why Matera like is so good, right? Is that the idea is that zoners are isn't that the exact place zoners want you to be? Is zoners world of us living in? The exact place they want you to be is round start or further away, right? Like people who just down back and don't do anything are yes, exactly. Like they are just literally they're like, hey, hello, like. People, I don't think it's as obvious to people as like what you're doing is holding like as like a like you're holding the dash button at Ladiva, right? If the round starts and you just down back and let Matera do her thing, what you are doing is it's the same thing as if you were fighting Ladiva and you just like round start ran into her face, or you're fighting like Lucilius and he's aura farming at full screen and you're just letting him do it, right? I think a lot of people have, like, for some reason, while what I just said, like the other examples I gave, are like obviously stupid and wrong, and you shouldn't do them, in most cases. I think for some reason, people don't think this way about zoners. Like, it's like not immediately obvious that like sitting at mid-screen and just being patient is like exactly what Matera wants you to do, right? Now, obviously, you can't be just like fully belligerent in the same way that you can't just backdash all the time against Ladiva. Like, you know, you can't just constantly W key at Lucilius to stop him from 5Uing. But like, you should be proactively forcing the zoner to zone you, right? Like, you should be proactive. I'm not saying that, you know, if you do this, suddenly Matera's bad. I'm saying, like, at a baseline, a lot of people, zoner players will also tell you play slow against zoners and make your way in. There's a difference, right? Like, okay, we gotta talk about this for a second. I already made a whole video on this, right? But play slow against zoners and make your way in, right? But again, I think a lot of people think that like you know, oh, you know, like the only correct way to approach a Matera that's just fucking doing her shit, right? She's just Materaing, right? Is I have to like block, walk, block, you know, like block, walk. The jump there is actually that's force of habit. Sorry, but yes, I just gotta walk and block. I just gotta walk and block. I just gotta walk and wait. Why am I not making it in? Wait, this character's broken. Wait, it's literally impossible. I mean, Matera's first off, her arrows do whiff on crouches, so yeah. But it's like, I just gotta, everyone told me I just gotta walk and block. Wait, what? I'm walking and blocking, and I've made no progress on the zoner. What are we doing? Right? I'm playing patient, and I'm working my way in, and I'm at the same place that I was in the beginning, man. Make your way in. Like, you have to, yes, play slow in the sense that, if what you're going to do is you're just gonna do this, guess what? Like, that's not good either, right? Like, if you're just dashing in, and some people do definitely have the opposite problem, where they're just like, I don't want to be zoned, so I'm going to W key at the zoner until something works, you know? I'm just gonna throw out all of my neutral skips. I'm going to throw out, like, whatever, like, fastest way I have to get in. I'm just gonna do that over and over, right? Obviously, either extreme is wrong, and very few people play on, like, literally these extremes, but I think a lot of people now, like, in that, like, intermediate and high, and like higher level, and like, you know, before, like, that intermediate to like low master level, think of it, right? They're like, okay, I understand that just rushing the zoner down is incorrect, right? So I'm gonna play patient. And they play patient, or say maybe they even know, like, you're not supposed to block Matera's arrows, let's just spot dodge them, right? So, like, I'm gonna play patient, right? I'm gonna spot dodge Matera's arrows, and it's gonna be glorious, right? And I'm gonna make my way in slowly or something like that. That's fine, right? That's fine. But there are so many different options that you have, right? There's so many different options you have to get on a zoner that the idea that, you know, your only options are to slowly, patiently walk and block, right? Or walk and spot dodge, in this case, if you're a little smarter, right? Walk and spot dodge is also a little silly, right? Like, jumping is a viable option. Rolling is a viable option. Like, if like, sometimes, genuinely, dashing, just like dashing at a zoner is a viable option. The whole thing is that it's very symbiotic. You have to be doing all of these things. Right? Your patient play earns you the right to suddenly go for a jump scare option. Right? Your patient, like, the reason that you play patient, right, is to get the zoner to, like, to make yourself, like, less obviously gorilla-like, to make it so the zoner has to actually think about what you might do next, and then suddenly that might earn you the right to, like, jump in, or roll in, or you know, neutral skip in, or something like that. Right? This is set up for payoff. If all you ever do is set up and you never go for the payoff, what are you doing? Right? If the only thing you do versus most modern zoners is you're slow and passive and enter their range with no jump scares, just transition their zoning into offense, right? Loading screen on match versus Matera should have you can roll low arrows too in big bold brackets. Yeah, I mean, Grand Blue is a different game too, and that there are so many good anti-zoning tools in this video game, right? Like, unless you're Ladiva, even Ladiva has to do this, by the way, but like, roll is pretty damn good. Now, yes, are you gonna be minus? Right, a lot of the times, if you, I mean, roll Matera's arrows, yeah, I mean, for up close, probably shouldn't be, because up close, if you're doing it reactively, you may very well be, you know, like, you're very well punishable. But from here, your options are much more, like, from here, like a 6XL can almost threaten as well, right? Or like your indirect jump distance, right? Like, some of your neutral skips might reach from here, things like that. But, like, for, like, you know, rolling fireballs is really good, man. Jumping, unironically, is really good. They give the zoners bad anti-airs for a reason. Right? You have 6XL in this video game. If you get to the mid-range, like, you have 6XL. Right? And again, I'm not saying that any one of these zoners just, oh, any one of these options, it's like, oh, poor Matera, she can't do anything. Right? But you have to at least be playing the game against her. Right? You can't just be sitting here in her win condition, not doing anything about it, and going, man, Matera's broken. Now again, the whole point, the whole idea, and why, if there is an argument for Matera being top tier right now, right? The sort of idea behind zoners is that the guy goes, you know, believe in victory, battle won, engage. Matera is right now in her win condition, right? She's right now in her win condition. But the idea is, you know, say you get like one lucky guess or something like that. And by the way, even rolling and stuff like this, preemptive rolling, also not a horrible idea, right? Because sometimes if you preemptively roll, maybe you can straight up get a punish and now you're in or something like that, right? Like, you have to be doing, rolling on reaction is really easy to do from far away, right? If you're up close, like, rolling on preemption, maybe not a bad idea, because yeah, if you roll on reaction up close, you may very well be, like, either punishably minus, or again, it might cause more problems than it solves, right? But maybe you're like, you know, I think from here, Matera might do something that's gonna lose to roll, I'm gonna roll. Now, you're gonna die for that sometimes? Yes. Right? Yes. But again, it's just, you have to be representing, sometimes you'll jump, sometimes you'll wait and do nothing, sometimes you'll spot dodge, sometimes you'll 6XL, and then the more you do this, the more complicated the zoner's job becomes, right? Because they also don't have a one-size-fits-all kill you option. The same way that you don't have a one-size get past their zoning option, they don't have a one-size zone the guy out forever with no counterplay option, right? As much as some people want to believe that is the case, people might tell you Butterfly is that. Butterfly's strong as fuck, right? But like, as much, like, they don't have a one-size-fits-all kill the guy option either, right? So, the more options you represent, the harder the zoner's job becomes, and now the point is, usually, even though they start at their win condition, they are not very good at, once they're losing, they're not very good at, They are not very good at getting back to where they're winning, right? Now, here's where, like, we can talk about Ferry and Matera, and we can talk about where, certainly, the things that make them stronger than they might otherwise be comes, I think, mostly here. I don't necessarily think that Matera's zoning is any harder to get past, right? I don't think Matera's zoning is that much harder to get past. Obviously, the arrows are faster, you know, Ferry's normals are faster, things like this. Where Ferry and Matera might be above the power curve, right, is that they are surprisingly capable even when you've got in your face, like when they're both in your face like this, right? Obviously, the big thing with Ferry, right, is Ferry can, at any time, if she catches your ass and you have her in the corner, right, you're getting sideswapped. You Butterfly, again, I'll tell you for free, you Butterfly is too good, needs to be toned down, right? You Butterfly, that move needs to be nerfed. Even if Matera herself isn't, like, top tier power level, that Butterfly move is insane, right? But yeah, like, Ferry, obviously, her big thing is any like, she gets insanely good reward off any little find that she might get in the corner, because it leads into this Gishben side swap, and now she gets the whole screen to work with once again, right? So this, actually, they gave this to Ferry in the Versusia patch, right? And we, I mean, a lot of us were very wrong about what happened. Like, Ferry got a lot better in that patch, and then, obviously, they dumped even more buffs on her in 2.0, right? But this idea that, like, I got in, right? I got in, and I guessed correctly, I got in on the zoner, and then, you know, lo and behold, I made one mistake on my own offense, which should be this, like, super lopsided win condition for me against zoner, and now, boom, right? Now she's just back. Now she just gets the entire screen to work with again, and I gotta go through this whole song and dance of pushing her to the corner once again, right? So that is certainly something. People said being able to sidestop with it is a nerf. No. Like, overall, seeing, like, Ferry's air normals become air blockable and stuff like that, people, including me, were like, what the fuck? Why'd they nerf Ferry? Right? Which it was a knee-jerk reaction, but it certainly was not correct. It's not that the side swap was a nerf, it's that overall the Versusia patch was a nerf, and that was definitely incorrect. But yeah, so, like, that stuff like that, you know, Ferry can be very good about, right? Stuff like it covers the weaknesses of her inherent archetype. Stuff like the far L buffs, right? Her having this, like, 7-frame far L, the far M actually being decently serviceable. Things like this, right? It covers Ferry's, like, inherent weaknesses as a zoner, right? Similarly, where is Thanks, I just fucked up their wording. Yeah. Ferry in general was nerfed that patch according to people. I'm not sure. In hindsight, I think she got slightly better, probably. It's just that it was another one of those things where it's like Nier right now. Like, we gave, like, compensation nerfs to bottom 1 or bottom 5, you know what I'm talking about? How plus is she on side swap? Plus 34, I think. If she drops HGG, she is punishable, yes. Gishben's side swap into the heavy GG is not real. But she does still just get a side swap, so if she wants to just keep zoning, it's very possible for her to do so, right? The big thing with Matera, right, the reason that Matera, and this, again, stuff that really mostly, like, was already here. They just, like, they just then kind of tuned everything up a little bit, right? The big thing with Matera is that Matera, unironically, has some really nice, she already had some really nice buttons, right? Like, Matera far L having 7 active frames like this makes it a deceptive, like, a really good defensive tool for her to just get you off of her, right? And it's obviously, it's like, you know, it's real easy to hit confirm as well. It goes into itself 3 times for some ungodly reason, right? So she can, like, if she gets a far L, she can very quickly convert it. Like, she doesn't have to be good at hit confirming it at all, basically, to get herself out of the situation. And it's, you know, it's got good range. It's a low. Yes, it's 8-frame startup, but it's got 6 fucking active frames too, right? So again, right, like, this is not at all for me to tell you that Ferry and Matera are bad characters, right? It's not at all for me to tell you that Ferry and Matera are bad characters. And Matera is, I mean, Matera also, one big thing, right, that benefits Matera more than Ferry, right, is that overall, I think if, like, I personally, I know that all people also think that Ferry is, like, a top 10, or maybe even, depending on who you're talking to, like, a top 10 or, like, borderline top 5 character. I don't have quite as much of a problem with Ferry. I still think Matera is maybe not as good as people say she is, but I think the mistake, if Cygames made a mistake in their balancing in 2.0, I think this is it, right? I think what they did is they buffed Ferry and Matera and Vikala. They didn't buff Vikala as hard, but, you know, they buffed Ferry and Matera and Vikala. They buffed the zoners, right? And they gave them no compensation nerfs, nothing like that, really. But do you notice that they also, that was the exact same patch in which they nerfed Brave Counter and made it minus on block, right? They nerfed Brave Counter and made it minus on block. So the idea, clear, because something else that universally kind of applied that was the only sort of, even back when Ferry and Matera weren't very good, right? The idea that they had, I think, was Brave counter was always a big lifeline for these zoner characters once they got into the corner, right? Like even, you know, in 1.0 Rising, when Ferry and Matera were both very not good, right? They still at least had the ability to brave counter your ass 3 different times around, right? And you'd have to like, yeah, like maybe that doesn't get them out of the situation, but they at least get like several do-overs on their defense, right? Brave counter is very strong. It's a universally very powerful defensive option. And it was like really holding up the zoners in the beginning of the video game, right? So I this is speculation, but I think the idea was like, okay, we're gonna buff Ferry and Matera and Vakala, and we're gonna nerf Brave counter, right? If anything, I assume that, well, yes, they clearly wanted to increase the power level of those characters, right? I think that the idea was that the Brave counter nerfs would compensate. They were compensation nerfs, basically. The Brave counter nerfs, universally, which is a good idea, would also compensate for the zoner buffs, which is why they did both of those two in the same patch. That, to me, at least, seems very obvious, right? The mistake they made, and I think, me personally, the real answer to why I think that Matera is stronger than Ferry, besides, I mean, you Butterfly, right? Also, Ferry does not have one of these. This move needs to this move needs to go in a big way. Either it needs to go away on hits, or it needs to maybe even go away on fucking block. I don't know. That move needs to go away in a big way. It needs to get nerfed significantly, right? But besides that, right? Besides you Butterfly, the thing is, the BC nerfs just hurt Ferry. Now again, she got lots of really good buffs, so she ends up being way stronger than she was despite this fact, right? But it is very true. You can just walk up and do this to Ferry, and now you keep your turn, right? If you don't know, if you picked up Grand Blue recently, this used to be +6 for Ferry. I'm +2. Used to be that Ferry would be +6, even if I successfully baited and blocked her BC, it was her turn. Yes, she was in the corner, but it was her turn, right? So she could start like she could run offense on me, right? So I get that. So, but Ferry, the reason to me that she feels more constrained, that might not even be a popular take, right? The reason to me that she feels more constrained is that Brave counter actually hurt her a lot. I think this Brave counter, right? Matera does not have the same problem here necessarily, because yes, while exactly like Ferry, Matera relied a lot on Brave counter being like a lifeline for her on defense. Now this is a lot worse. Matera does also just have like fucking this, right? Like in some ways, right? The Brave counter nerf was also a buff to parts of Matera's game plan, right? So while yes, it did make her defense worse, right? Point blank period. There's no way like Matera would be so much better if Brave counter, if her Brave counter at least was still plus. It ends up kind of coming out on the wash for her because it makes her own offense better. Because a lot of the times, you know, if Matera like did butterflies in the corner, right, and like you had to hold some shit, and then she hopped in, you would Brave counter her, and even if she blocked it, you at least, you know, it will be your turn. You have to deal with the butterflies anymore. Now she's plus. You don't get to do that. So when she like butterfly into arrow into hop and you block it, like, you have to hold that shit. That is just like, you really don't have a very reliable way out of that because you're in block stun the whole way until the butterflies get to you, right? It's not, you can't even like DP in this gap. I think maybe you can. Even then, that's probably a little risky. If she does nothing, she might be able to land and block and things like that. But point being that the Brave counter nerf was it was a nerf and a buff for Matera, right? Whereas it was just a nerf for Ferry, and I think that idea, that huge system mechanic change was supposed to be the thing that kept the zoners in check a little bit. But it turns out to be just as good for Matera as it is bad for Matera. Maybe you could even argue that Matera would rather have Brave counter be minus on block. Like genuine, I think there's a real argument that Matera would that the Brave counter changes were just overall a buff to Matera, not even a nerf. So they gave Ferry and Matera these big buffs. And then they nerfed Brave counter, and the idea was that's going to nerf Ferry and Matera, and then it nerfed Ferry and it buffed Matera alongside all of the other buffs that they gave her, right? They also specifically buffed Matera's offense. Yes, I mean they buffed Ferry's offense too, right? All the normal like 7-frame far L's and things like this, like all the frame data buffs that they gave do like that. It helps zoners in every part of their game plan, right? There is also definitely the thing of like Matera definitely gets more reward from DPs being counter hit now than Ferry does as well, right? Matera's counter hit conversions are really significant, right? So I think it's the system changes that they put in 2.0. I think benefit Matera disproportionately more than they benefit Ferry, and that's why I think Matera ends up being like notably to me stronger than Ferry, right? With all of that in mind, I still don't know. I gotta watch some more Monarch and see if there's something I'm missing, something he's showing me that about like. I've been very curious about Matera, right? I've been watching basically all the Monarch I could find ever since she got buffed. She seems good. She seems really good. I don't quite understand where the idea of like this character. Some people are like, this is a top 5, a top 3 character. I've seen that in places too. That's a bit more of an extremist take, I think. But like Matera is genuinely ruining the video game. We need to do something about it right now. I have no idea where that comes from. She's strong. Is she even too strong? Besides this, is she even too strong? I'm not so sure, right? But she's certainly good. She's way better than she's ever been. And I can see how, again, a strong zoner is always going to be annoying, right? But as of right now, gun to my head, I just think we need to tone this move down, right? And everything else Matera got can probably remain the same. And I think she's fine. Is anyone in this game right now too strong? I mean, that's a very relative term, in the sense of like there are clear characters that are better than the rest of the roster, then sure. But yeah, and too strong in like a universal sense. I mean, yeah. Even, you know, Grimnir, Catalina, whoever, like, they're getting dog-walked by the top tiers of the release version of the game. So are they too strong? I don't know. Too strong in the sense that I could see some of them being nerfed and that being better for the game's health? Yeah. Too strong in the sense that they're, like, genuinely a problem and, like, they're going to kill the game? No, definitely not. Right? In EU, we have 3 really strong Matera players, and like, all of them consistently make top 8 in tournaments against Saki, Fitizen, Tuho, Jujo, etc. Yeah, cool. Maybe I can watch some of that too, right? But I mean, that for how good I think Matera is, that doesn't really surprise me, right? I mean, besides the whole tournament results and how they actually factor into character strength, things like that we've talked about a billion times, right? You know, Matera being a character that can make top 8 at big tournaments or even win big tournaments, she doesn't need to be like a broken ass top 3 character to do that, right? There's like 20 characters in the video game that I would not be surprised if they did that consistently. So. That even more than the normal talk about results and how I kind of don't really give a fuck about them except watching pro players to see if they can teach me any new tech about a character. Even more so, this is like, we're talking about, I'm not saying that Matera is like a low tier, you know, I'm saying Matera is like, I probably, yeah, somewhere, she's not a top tier character, I don't think. Somewhere directly outside of that, I would say, right? Like she's in like, maybe in like somewhere halfway down high tier or something like that. Strong ass character. And a character I would not at all be surprised if someone could win tournaments with them consistently. Or, you know, if someone could, again, if multiple people could consistently be making top 8s with them. That's not surprising to me at all. You don't have to be like Grimnir to be doing that, right? But yeah, the main thing that I wanted to talk about with this whole aside here is just that I think Matera is good, Ferry is good. I think a lot of players, a lot of like intermediate to like slightly higher level players, have the characters be even better against them than they should be because they just kind of sit there and let themselves get zoned, or they just W key, right? When people tell you play patient against zoners and make your way in, they aren't saying don't do anything ever. Like don't just walk and like walking and blocking is gonna get you fucking killed because the game has universal system mechanics, right? They have universal anti-zoning system mechanics. So you can't just walk and block because think about it this way. If walking and blocking was a guaranteed way to get it on Matera, she would actually be unplayable. Because if you could just walk and block and have that be the way to get it on her, what the fuck happens then if someone rolls? If someone does actually like properly utilize rolling and 6XLs and dashing and jumping and neutral skip moves. If walking and blocking by itself could get you in on the zoner, imagine if you actually played the matchup correctly. She would have literally no options. She would just be a joke character, right? Also, iShield, thank you very much for the follow. So like you have to be making these in a very similar way on the coaching sessions and Saturdays. People on their own offense a lot of the times. They just kind of try to do very safe, measured offense, and then they never open anyone up when they're fighting like one of the master rank bouncers or something like that we do for the coaching sessions, right? They do something like this, right? Like a lot of people, their offense looks like this. And then when they start fighting people who don't just master rank bouncers, when bounce on and moaning on it, you know, you get the deal. When people are just mashing, right, then it works great because this is like 4 consecutive frame traps, right? But if someone actually is like waiting and seeing or down backing or actually trying to figure out your habits, something like that, suddenly they just start like every time they get an offensive turn, they get nothing out of it, and they just lose the set by default after a while when they fight better players. And the thing that I tell them is that if you trust for a second, I know some of y'all are cynical, but if you trust for a second that the game is designed to be even somewhat balanced, the idea is that you cannot run both safe and rewarding offense forever at no cost. That's 4 very important qualifiers there. Safe offense, rewarding offense, forever at no cost. So usually you only get to pick a couple of these, right? Either stuff is safe, or it's no cost, right? So something like this. Very hard to really get murdered for this unless someone like reversal SSBAs you or something. And even then, if they do it between the two close L's, they might die, right? This is very safe offense, and you can do it for, like, you know, I mean, you could argue that there's a cost of screen space. You're getting pushed back, right? The forever and at no cost are the same. I suppose. I mean, it depends a little bit. Like, in a weird way, I guess you can argue that even this is not forever or no cost because you get pushed out eventually, right? But, you know, there are things where, for example, you can have them have high rewards, and they can be plus, and they don't push you away. Those are usually EX specials, or U specials, or something like that, right? I suppose you're right, yeah. Safe, rewarding, forever. That's fair. Because forever and no cost, but even this, to call this no cost is kind of incorrect. Yeah, so safe, rewarding, and forever, right? You can do things that are safe and rewarding. They'll usually cost you a cooldown, or they'll usually be a U skill and cost you meter, or something like that, right? Now, that's not a whole point about offense. My point is that in that very same vein of like, so the end result from this is you have to take risks if you want to open people up, by and large, right? This is why mashing, by the way, is bad, because mashing lets this safe and low cost offense also be high reward. Because if you're matching, right? So if you're matching on this, then suddenly I do just win like this. Like, fundamentally, like from a first principles theory, this is why mashing all the time, being a masher, is something that's a bad idea on defense. It's because it lets them run like a fully like broken style of offense where they have to take no risk and they still get all the reward, right? So the takeaway from this is you have to take risks to open people up. Even going for a throw, there's a mashable gap here, right? I mean, if someone's delay teching, you have to like run up and like delay a close H or run up and backdash or something like that, right? You have to take some kind of risk. And again, if you have like a NARM TK flip or something, you can run up and bait a delay tech at relatively low risk, but even then, you spent the cooldown, right? You have to take risks to get the rewards. Now, the point of this, the point of me talking about this in a video about zoners, is that the same exact concept is how the zoning of Matera and Ferry is balanced, right? And Vicala, to be fair, but Vicala, I think, has a couple more, like, her stats just a little lower. She's not really as worth talking about in the same conversation as these two. I think it's more so that Vicala probably is a little too weak. I don't think that it's like, oh, Ferry and Matera are broken, so you have to actually respect their zoning patterns. I think it's more so Vicala's a little too weak, so you can get away with not really respecting hers as much. But Ferry and Matera, the way their zoning is balanced, you have to take risks to win, right? You can't just... You can't, like, walk and block is the equivalent. Walk and block is the zoner get-in equivalent of this, right? It is the equivalent of that. If the zoner is mashing, aka if they're not thinking at all about what they're doing on their zoning, then yeah, maybe you can just, you know, if Matera is just doing this over and over, right? Maybe you could like find a way if you did like walk, spot dodge, you know, spot dodge, walk forward a bit, right? Etc. etc. It will take her longer and longer to get her arrows back, and like you slowly, because when you spot dodge as well, the arrow cooldown comes back slower, right? So yeah, you could slowly make your way in like that, maybe. If the Matera is doing literally fucking nothing about it, if the Matera is putting about as much thought into her zoning as, I mean, someone who's mashing is putting into their defense. Realistically, if Matera is mixing up her timings, if she's mixing up the options she uses, if she's going on the offense sometimes, etc., if she's using all of her toolkits, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to do things that might get you killed if you were wrong, right? Same way, if I try to bait a delay tech and I run up for a long time and I close H, but I had the timing wrong, they can just mash on this, get a full combo on me. And a lot of characters in this game, if they get a full combo on you, even if their back is to the wall, right? Like they're going to take you corner to corner. If I'm wrong about my delay tech bait, I could die. I could lose the game right then and there, right? Or at least get put into a very disadvantageous situation right then and there. In a very similar manner, if I try to like preemptively jump at Matera expecting her to throw an arrow out and she doesn't, she just sits there and she like far M anti-airs me or 2H anti-airs me if I try to jump in and she counter hits it, right? Or, you know, if I like try to preemptively roll through an arrow to get in, right? But Matera doesn't actually arrow, right? If I am right, maybe I can even fully punish her, right? Maybe it's like my turn straight up, right? But if I'm not, she might get a full combo on me and now I'm back to full screen, right? But you have to do this. The zoning is balanced around the idea that you have to take risks to actually get in. Sometimes you might have to just dash for a bit and hope the Matera is stun locked from all the other options you've been representing. Because out of that dash, you might spot dodge, you might roll, you might use a skill, you might jump. Sometimes you just like keep running, right? and hope that the zoner is just too concerned with all the other options you represented to stop you from just running at them from full screen and 6XL. And this is not like scrub tactics, by the way. Like, even at like the highest level, you see sometimes people are in this like tense stalemate near the end of a round, and a guy like does this, and it fucking works on like the best players in the world, because you have so many other things on your mind they might do that you aren't expecting them to just run up at you and throw you from full screen, right? All of these different options, if you are wrong, they will kill you. You will never die, at least not quickly, for walking and spot dodging, right? This is never going to get you killed, but even this is way better than walking and blocking, by the way, as you can see by the frequency of Matera's arrows when I do that versus when I do this, right? The cooldown takes much longer to come back if it has to go all the way to the end of the screen. I just someone told a Street Fighter player never jump a fireball? Exactly, right? Now, some of you don't need to hear this. I know that, right? Because zoners can do a lot, but they can't do a lot at the same time. Yeah, but I think, again, the important, if there's a one-sentence takeaway, for a lot of you to, and I already talked about this before, but it bears repeating because of how much discourse there is surrounding Matera and Ferry, right? If there is a one-sentence takeaway that I want you to have here, it's the idea of, yes, you have to take risks to get in on zoners. There is no, unless the zoner is just underpowered, right? The case before this, you didn't. Matera, Ferry, and Vikala, all of them just didn't function within the system of the game, basically, for a lot of the game's lifespan. Right? From like 1.0 to like 1.5 or something like that. They like didn't function within the game system. So you didn't have to take risks. You just got on them for free. Like the optimal thing to do against Ferry a lot of the times is this. Like you would just do this and like you could just like, you could crush all of her moves, you know? Her anti-airs didn't really work. Fucking like, there was no pushback on Beppo even if you air blocked it, right? Like this would like unironically get you in on, or just like doing whatever U-skill neutral skip you had got you in on them. They were ass characters. They were garbage characters. They are now strong. They are now actually good characters. They are, I'm going to say, balanced on the higher end of power, but balanced. They are balanced characters. I'm not going to, like, I do not, except for, again, this fucking thing, Matera is a balanced character, right? So, you have to actually play the game against them to get in on them now. You have to take a risk on that preemptive roll, or that jump, or, you know, that call-out U-skill, or U-fireball of your own, or something like that. You have to take a risk to get in on them, and if you try to just do it safely, you're never going to get anywhere. You are going to be zoned for the entire round. You're going to spend the entire time getting the shit beat out of you, and you're going to one and done the Matera after you plug your Ethernet cord, and you're going to say these characters are broken, side games, please nerf. Right? No. No, these characters are just good now, and you actually have to respect their game plans to have any kind of success. And you have to actually like recognize you are in their win condition at round start. What are you going to do about you, Butterfly, specifically? Okay, so again, it's tough, man. This is a hard move to deal with. I would not like go out of my way to be like this move is broken right now. If I thought there was like really like viable counterplay against this, right? The realistic answer to this, I guess, is that you kind of have to hold it. You kind of have to hold it. Right? Like, there is no good, like, you are taking on so much risk by challenging this. Is that insane? You're telling me I just have to sit here and let Matera have this butterfly, like, torque on me for a second? Until she does it? Yeah, that is dumb. That is dumb. And the move is too good, right? The move is too good. But, like, realistically, you kind of have to hold this shit. You know what I mean? Again, this needs to be nerfed. Do not take this whole video as me saying, oh, Matera's actually totally fine. You, Butterfly, needs to be nerfed, right? But the rest of her, I don't really, I think, you know, not gonna lie, I personally think the bust to arrow recovery to make reaction roll and fireball minus how approaching as fuck. I kind of like it. Again, right? I kind of, like the idea is, if you could reaction roll on fireball and B+, there's not really as much risk to the idea, right? Where's the risk you are taking in on getting on Matera if you can just, you know, the arrows are not exactly hard to react to, right? So if I can just reaction roll B+ and it's my turn now, I mean, you know, where is the risk in zoning Matera or in getting in on Matera's zoning? It doesn't really exist, right? You have to either preemptively roll or do something else, right? That might be more specifically catered towards beating that fireball that might not work in other situations, or spend some meter on it or something like that, right? I've only felt like Matera was kind of shocked by how long her combos are. Yeah. U-Butterfly is a problem in a lot of ways. It also gives her 125 meter combos back or something like that. But either hold the Butterfly or stop from playing the game while it's out. Probably stuck holding it. Yeah. Zonery happening. We were playing Jita, but this is, again, I see this is the second discussion we're going to have about this. Man. I see so much discourse on zoners, and a lot of it is valid, right? This is not me being like, guys, Matera and Ferry are actually bad. right? Again, it's more so that I'm like, they're even better than they should be when a lot of people fight them because they just don't really do it correctly, or at least they don't even give themselves a chance to win, right? I'm not telling you I have the most perfect 100% optimal zoner counterplay plan, but you at least have to give yourself the chance to be correct and the chance to win and the chance to get in on them, right? Reason I think it's cringe is that rolling in Matera's face with her reward preemptively is extremely risky. Counter recovery. I mean, yeah, but also if she does, you know, if she does actually, like if you preemptively roll and she does actually do the arrow, you get a full combo on her, right? Are the arrows? Wait, are the arrows counter hit recovery? Is that real? No, I have counter hit on all the time, right? Yeah. The arrows are not. No, I don't. Wait, really? Let me roll super early just to make sure here. I mean, yeah, right? The arrows are also counter hit recovery. So, again, if you preemptively roll and you're right, you get a full counter hit combo of your own on Matera, right? So, like, and you probably have more health than her, right? Probably. So, like, again, there's actual, like, this is her, by the way, even that, this is her win condition, by the way. So the idea that the risk reward in her own win condition should be tilted in her favor, that doesn't seem wrong to me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you preemptively roll is a very high, like, preemptive roll is a high risk, high reward option, right? Matera has 16 health. No, she doesn't. She has 15. Matera has 15,000 HP. But the idea that the risk reward should be in her favor, in her win condition, sounds right to me. Preemptive roll is not the option she should be representing all the time. It is a high risk, high reward option. If you're wrong, she'll feed you a whole counter hit combo. If you're right, you get a whole counter hit combo of your own. That seems reasonable. Before that, it was you could take no risk at all, react to her arrow, and maybe you wouldn't get a counter hit combo, but like you just react to her arrow and now it's your turn. That doesn't seem very fair to Matera. And I know like even just saying that sentence is gonna make some people mad, right? But like the Zoner, I think, deserves to have their win condition be good for them. Right? I'm not saying, oh, boo-hoo, poor Matera. I'm just saying, the idea that it's like, oh, I can't reaction roll and still be plus, and that feels, like, unfair. I'm like, no, it kind of, the fact that you could before feels kind of unfair. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, there might be a couple of knock-on effects of reducing the recovery like that, right? Matera has a couple of, like, straight-up, like, jail strings that she has now with her arrows because of how the startup works, right? But, like, the exact effect of it making reaction rolling minus, it's not even punishably minus a lot of the time, by the way. Sometimes, if you're really late, it could be, right? But even that, the fact that if you reaction roll, she might get a combo on you, I mean, that seems fair to me, right? Either let her have this or make low arrow be lower. I'm okay with this, right? You preemptively roll. If you're wrong, she gets a counter hit combo. If you're right, you get a counter hit combo, right? And if like you're preemptively rolling from over here, I mean, here obviously there's no points, but also here your reaction rolls is totally safe, right? Here your reaction roll is totally fine. So preemptive roll really only becomes a factor at these distances, where again, the risk reward is actually kind of balanced here. Because again, Matera should be better off here than she is here, but this is still like her win condition against most characters. So the fact that the risk reward is kind of balanced here, on preemptive roll in particular, that I get a full counter hit combo or she gets a full counter hit combo, that seems fine to me, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of like a zoner apologist, but how fast is U arrow to bonk you for a late roll there? U arrow is from like longer distances, about 18 frames, 16 frames. I mean, how late does your roll have to be from like full screen to be minus 16, right? There you go. That could work. Yeah, it could happen. Though I mean, again, from these distances, it might actually be like 18 frames, but yeah, it could certainly happen, right? Even then, though, that is her spending 50 on that, right? Any meter she's not spending on that. She's spending on this. She's not spending on that, right? Certainly. You can also, I mean, the reaction here is even easier because the arrow's far away, right? So you have to like try to be late. Like I'm trying to be late to see how minus I can be, but like if you can't, like if it takes you this long, like from full screen, if it takes you this long to realize the arrow is coming at you, I think that is somewhat of a skill issue as well, right? Like you can't just roll it way earlier, minus 13, totally safe to you arrow. So I don't really think that's the problem here, right? I think like reaction rolling as late as you possibly can at full screen, that's probably you got bigger problems. Right? Like roll has 25 frames of invuln, so you really don't have to be scared with it. You can roll like really early actually and still be relatively okay, right? Minus 13, you can get pretty consistently there, right? Minus 12, it's got 25 frames of invuln, so it's really like you have to like just try to roll as late as you can, And then, yeah, you're like Giga minus, that she can kill you for it, right? Anyway, that's enough rambling. Let's play some more Jita, but... It's, you know... Are there some things that are too strong about, again, Matera in particular, especially this thing? Yes, right? But, like, does the fact that she actually gets to have a functional zoning game plan that will force you to take risk to get in on her, and, like, can win her the game? Like, the zoner can win the game on zoning alone. Is that wrong? I don't think so. Right? Is this shit way too good? Absolutely. Please nerf this immediately when Wellness comes out side games. Please. Is the rest of her too good? No. She just actually has a real fucking zoning game plan that you have to play around instead of ignoring it like we were able to do for a year in this video game. Right? She just is finally an actual, honest-to-God, fucking functional zoner. A good one. A good like, I'm not saying she's barely functional. She's strong. Like, it's just a zoning game plan that works, man. You have to actually respect that shit now.